Welcome to this video on quick sketch rocks. So this is about texture. So the reference photo has quite a few rocks. We don't have to do all of them. I'm going to do a couple. So with my normal HB Faber-Castell 9000 series and the Pit Graphite Matte, that's 8B, paper stump, vinyl eraser and my kneadable eraser, and I've added just a plain tissue as well. So I'm just going to do 3 main ones here. You can play later and do whatever you want. So here's one. Okay, there is another one here where I'm just mark it so you know where it is. And the shape of this one, tucked underneath there, and it goes down to there. So lightly putting it in, not worrying too much about it. It's all adjustable. So go across here, just before the 3 o'clock if you're looking at the clock face. And I'm going to do this little one in here as well. So you can do as many as you want, but I will show you the texture on all of them anyway. Pretty much the technique is the same. Okay, so tonally, these two are very similar. So I'm just going to put that in. Put the edge of that in as well. And this one here is going to be darker because we're going to lift out the lights. So I'll just do a layer like that, another layer like that, same pressure, and this one here, same as that one. If you can get an even pressure with your hand, with your pencil in your hand, that's good, that's what we're aiming for. And here we're going to go darker in the shadows. So it fades into here, so I'll just press a little harder. And there's a dark down here too, so I'm not putting the sticks in, but I am putting the dark bits in so that I have a contrast between the dark and the light. That's one curved there. So we think about hard and soft edges as well. So this is a definite hard edge because it's quite dark underneath here. Okay, now this over here is a soft edge because the rock is fading underneath. The thing with doing just a section is that I kind of want to finish all of them off, but I'm not going to because then it won't be a quick sketch. Okay, so it's a little darker under here from this rock here. That there can go up a little bit more. I'm just going to put these little lines in where the other rocks are so that you know which part I'm doing. Okay, there's going to be one down here, there's going to be one here, and there's a little bit under here. Okay, now I'm going to use my tissue. I'm going to make a little pad on my finger. I'm just going to blend all of this. You can use a paper stump, but tissue is much quicker. It does large areas, so it picks up a lot of graphite. So I'm going back with my HB again. And adjusting some of this. So this one's about texture, and pattern is part of texture because on a 3D surface you have to make the difference. I should say, when you're making a 3D surface on a 2D piece of paper, you make the difference. Okay, so now we've got some very funny shaped eggs. I'm going to start on the texturing. So I'm going to start on this one here, and I'm going to start on the darkest spot, which is kind of here. I'm just going to do some little wiggly changes of pressure here. Looking at the shape it is, of course it doesn't really matter if it's not exact. I'm pressing and lifting my pencil to make it slightly different. I'm choosing the main shapes. If you want to put your stick in, you can. You can do it before or afterwards, it doesn't really matter. And you can go like that, like that. And this one here, we have the shadow under there as well. Left them light. Okay. Now I'm not going to put all the little bits in, as I said. I'm just going to now, so looking at the picture and not my page, because I'm trying to do them roughly the same size. You can look at your page as well if you want to, but I find it easier to do the shapes if I'm not looking at the page. Oh, sorry, not looking at this page. Make myself clearer. Okay, yep, there it is. There's some interesting little shapes. I can see an aeroplane, a Christmas tree, smiley face. Just darken that where the leaf was. There's my little Christmas tree, and here it looks like there's a little strange little stick person with a square head. Just be careful that you don't make them what you think they look like. Not that it really matters, it's your picture if you want to. If you want to do an abstract rock with interesting shapes, go for it. And you can put little skulls in and fancy little patterns. You can do flower shapes. Nobody's going to know, because you're not showing them the original. At the top here, that's dark, so I'll just put that in there as an edge. Okay, so they're a little bit softer and closer together up here because it's turning around the side. It's kind of like doing a weird zebra. Now I'm going to look at the page and I'm just going to put some extra bits in here. Okay. Now that I've got that filled in, I'm going to have to darken this. You can see that now that looks darker. In grayscale, when you try and draw with your tones, you'd think it would be easier, but your brain keeps saying, no, it can't be that dark. Okay, so the other stick's across here somewhere. Now we've got, we'll do this one here first. Yeah. So with this one here, I'm going to hold my pencil up. I'm going to do little swirlies. Now you might think this isn't the pattern, and it isn't the pattern, but it gives you the same texture as the pattern. And I'm doing it round and round so that I don't get little tiny sharp lines. Now, trouble with this is you want to hurry and you can't, so I start another one over here. Tiny, tiny little lines. And it's a bit like zigzag scribble with a randomness to it. Start another one over here. Why do I do this? So I don't do little lines that are the same pattern all over. They can join together. Same pressure if you can. I find this very therapeutic, but some people find it excruciatingly boring. But you just have to go small, little squiggly lines, round and round. They are sort of zigzags. Come down here. Now you might think this is not what that looks like, and it isn't, and that's not what it looks like either. But for texture you don't have to do the exact texture starting at one end and doing it exact all the way down. It's for sketching, it's the impression of what you want. A bit like abstract. Abstract is a simplification of something real. So it should still give you the feeling of what you're looking at, or the emotion of what you're feeling when you're looking at it. It's not just colour studies, that's decorator art. Okay, so here we go. Another circle here, we'll do another circle here. It's the same as when you do stippling. When you do dots, you need to make sure that you don't do little toy soldiers in a row. So by joining little patterns together, I stop myself from making actual deliberate patterns in here. These are all accidental patterns. Abstract patterns if you want. We have to trick our brain sometimes because it's so used to doing neat and tidy and in the lines, and that's what we get rewarded for when we're young. Are you bored yet? You can speed this up until I've done this one. Go. Nearly done. Extra layer on the edges here. Even though they're sharp edges, they do have shadows, so that's just a matter of making sure there's less space between the white bits. Scribble stroke is my favourite stroke. Big and small does different textures. This stroke enlarged is leaf litter. Okay, so we've got this here. I'm going to do now is check a few, again like I did with that, looking at the patterns and seeing what I see with the darks. There's more dark in here. So you can, I tend to do stippling, making little marks, because they're not really dots, they're text, little ticks and lines and dot, well, some of them are dots. You'll notice with the videos my mouth works when my brain isn't engaged. Sometimes I have to rethink what I've just heard myself say. So I'm going to put these in here. There's not very many darks over there. There's a bigger one here. Okay. Oh, I'm just going to get the paper stump, which I cleaned recently. Just going to stroke that in the shape of the rock. And that one too. Okay. Step one on those two. Now, blocking in on here as well. Put dark on there. And we're going to do the zigzaggy thing, but it's slightly bigger. The texture's still there, a little bit bigger. Exactly the same technique. It's like watching paint dry, isn't it? All of this is done really without taking your pencil off the page. Make that a broken line. Okay, now this one has some quite dark bits down here. And let's see, has a flatter bit up here. I think that might be a little bit flatter too. A few up here. Okay, they're not as dark as down there though. I'm going to take my paper stump and give it a little bit of a swoosh. Now, normally I'd get my battery operated eraser out now, but I lent it to someone, so now I'm just going to get my, my Mono Zero, is it Zero? Zero, Mono Zero. It has a very fine eraser nib. It's a bit fluffy at the moment, there we go. Alright, so I'm going to look at the big bits of light. I'm going to turn my eraser around. And this edge here can catch some light. Clean the edge. Take off the fluffy. Now if you have a look at the blue line here, you'll see how I turn it. So I'm just rolling it between with my thumb as I go around. Checking if it's dark or light edges, and also looking at my reference picture and seeing where the big whites are, because there are a few up here, some in the middle. These little river rocks were in Tasmania. A bit lighter there. Actually, it means it needs to be darker there, which I'll do afterwards. So all of these textures, much smaller on the top. We don't want two big ones on the top because this is the main part. Give it a clean again, because it's a very small end on this eraser. You do have to keep it clean. Okay, you can see how that's working. And this one has bigger bits of white, so I'll give it a little push as I turn. So it's probably the same kind of rock. Getting a bit dirty now. Little ones, big ones. Little ones on the edge because they're sliding down. So what you see here, you wouldn't see the same when it's there. A little bit of texture up here too. Otherwise it's just an edge. There we go. A bit cross hatch there. Some down here. The do-do-dos make it easier to draw. Maybe not, but it sounds good. Okay, so we've got this last one here to do, and there's a few shapes. So this one has also the same dark, medium and light. That's little bits of light around some of these. Not too much in that bit because that's in shadow, but there are some lighter bits up here. Just be careful you don't take all of the middle grey off because we need that as well. Clean that off. Now let's do the really dark. Shouldn't really chicken scratch on there, should just put it down. Now some of these are darker than the others as they're in the shadow. This one doesn't have a lot of dark, but I'm just going to very gently add some dots in near the light bits, just because it'll look good. Edge here, fill that dark in. There we go. Just a little bit of shadow on those so that it's not a sudden stop for the rock. And on here, just a few. So you still turn it. If you do it fast, you get little ticks. And you can adjust them. Now, if I was painting this, instead of doing the scribble, I would use a natural sponge and lightly, with colours that are similar to the rock colour and tones that are similar to the tones, I would then put it on like that with the paint. So there's our rocks. I hope you enjoyed them.